Hello everybody and welcome back to F1 TS Hubs for round 14 in Singapore City under the lights. I'm joined alongside me with Jono, and just like to quickly apologise for the delay. PSM was having issues, but we are back underway, and for the first time ever at F1 TS Hub, we've got a full grid, Jono.
Absolutely, cannot be better. It's one of my favourite tracks on the calendar. We've got a full grid, and I cannot wait for the action to get underway.
Yes, it's pretty exciting. First time ever, 100% attendance F1 TS Hub. So well done to all these Podium drivers. We've got in the pit lane, everyone's going to want to get out, Jono. With such a long track, you don't have long. We're already down to 10.5 minutes, as we're seeing Maverick struggling with the pit exit already. Looks to be dry to me, so I'm sure many will be happy with that after they were asked in their driver press conference. I don't think anybody wanted rain for tonight's race.
No, absolutely. I think the only people who would maybe be hoping for rain tonight are the spectators and us watching at home, because yeah, out on circuit you definitely want ideal conditions if possible. It's challenging enough for a lap to get round at the best of times without weather getting in the way of things as well.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see what these Podium drivers can do, but the cars look fantastic under these lights, and 20 drivers for the first time out on track at Singapore. This is season 10, and Jono, Kian looked pretty strong in practice yesterday. Do you think he can put on a challenge here today for pole and the win? Because qualifying here has got to be one of the most important.
Yeah, absolutely. He's on a bit of a roll at the moment, of course, picking up the win last time out in Monza, and yeah, rumour has it in the paddock that he was looking good in practice during the week, so yeah, let's hope he can put in a good lap here today, as I think I see he might have left the session there at the bottom of the screen, however. Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but I think he may have left the session there.
We'll have to keep an eye exactly whether he's able to get back in. But
yeah.
The servers, of course, are a bit sketchy tonight with the PSN going down earlier. But ain't no stopping the Podium tier, as a bit delayed. But under 9 minutes left in the session now, we're still waiting for someone to set lap time. Of course, it's an incredibly long out lap here to get round, and incredibly long race as well, John. It's just you seem to look up at the laps, and they just seem to, you think you've almost done the race and you're only halfway.
Absolutely, it is a test of mind as well. It's such a long track, as you say, and yeah, the race goes on forever and ever. You look up thinking you must be near the end of the laps to go or something. I know that's how I felt anyway. But yeah, these boys, we look at the clock as well, 8 minutes and 20 seconds of the session remaining, and most of them only go on their first flying lap. So as you mentioned before, time is definitely up against them in this qualifying session, and they'll only get a couple of chances to hook up a lap around here.
Well, Cobblers has left the session, so it appears that we might have some connection issues. They do have backup invites, so hopefully they'll be able to get back in. Just a quick update, Jono. Jonas, of course, won't be able to partake in this qualifying session after being handed a qualifying ban. So if you see Jonas stay in the garage, that is why he's unable to participate. Also hearing that rain could be heavy rain later on in the race. So that's something that the weatherman's telling us on our live feed. Whether it's true or not, we'll have to wait and see. Bookster pumps in a 39.2. Stifler's up there. Kev is quite close. Jamie's behind in fourth. Only 4 drivers to set a lap time so far. It's so tricky to hook a lap up here, isn't it, Jono?
Yeah, absolutely. You've got dangerous curves everywhere, and obviously walls lining the track. I do expect to see guys obviously running the ultra soft, but doing at least a couple of laps on each set of tyres as well. One to get their eye in, then on the second lap they'll go again, and of course if they're not up, they will box at the end of that second lap, I imagine. But definitely momentum is key, and I think they will definitely want to do at least 2 laps on each set of ultra softs. Yeah,
definitely. Time will be close though. We've still got a few drivers in the pits. Jonas, of course, can't set a lap time. Kian, we believe, still trying to get back into the session, and Cobblers likewise the same. Again, we had some PSN issues, so we delayed the start for tonight's race, but we are underway. A full 20 driver grid at the moment, minding the 2 that are are trying to get back into the lobby. Kian's back in, yellow flags in sector 2, so one of our championship rivals will need to get straight out there. Just over 6 minutes left of the session. If I sound a little bit horsey, it's because, yes, yet again, I've seemed to have picked up a cold. So I don't know what I've done this year to warrant this, but yeah, another cold, another day. But yeah, we'll get past it as Matt Your Daddy struggles with the pit entrance. It is a tricky pit entrance here, isn't it?
It's absolutely a tricky pit entrance. It's so easy to carry too much speed and then either clatter over the curbs or into the wall even, or yeah, or you can bail out and return to the circuit and go on for another lap. But definitely worth erring on the side of caution, I think, a little bit on pit entry. Just make sure you get in there okay, and obviously hit the speed limiter as well at the right point. And yeah, the exit as well, tricky here. I know I became victim of a penalty in past seasons by crossing the white line on the pit exit. So definitely one of the most difficult pit lanes of the season, I'd say. Yeah,
and so difficult. So if I remember correctly, I believe it was possibly season 4, or if not season, no, it might have been season 3. Three-time world champion Ermi crashed leading the race into the pit entrance. He followed the safety car in and just went straight into the wall on which separates the track and the pit lane, and completely destroyed his car. So just shows you even the best can make those mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. As I'm on board with Technical actually at the moment. He's yet to set a flying lap, I believe. He's on one at the moment. It's looked pretty tidy so far as he enters the final sector. So it'll be interesting to see where that pops him after his obviously second place finish last time out. So he'll be looking to continue his championship charge as well by putting in a good lap here.
Yeah, exactly.
He boxes.
Does he box? So...
He boxes. Yeah, he boxes. He hasn't set a time yet, I don't believe.
Gazza, we're hearing, is stuck in the garage, Jono, so he's not able to actually get out onto the track. But I believe that's a game issue rather than anything to do with the PlayStation Network. But a lot of drivers in the pits, only half of them have set a lap time. 4 minutes really left in the session.
Yeah, and 4 minutes left, and so many drivers in the pits from that at that time yet. That is definitely a bit of a weird one.
You've got to remember, of course, that corner cutting is on strict, so perhaps some drivers struggling a little bit. We seem to have a bit of a queue here in the pit lane behind Gazza's car.
There is a queue. I don't think cars are able to go past it at the moment, although the Renault I'm on board with now is making his way through the queue.
Yep.
But yeah, there's a massive queue now in the pit lane.
There's another Red Bull at the back there that I think's just gone and joined it. I think that might be Maverick. Let's have a quick look as Cobblers is back in. So we're back to full force. Unfortunately, it looks like we got some issues here with the game. Bookster currently on pole position from Stifler, Kev, Spider Atlas, Lemaine, Jamie, Lukey, Razor, Oz and Maverick. We have a full 20 driver grid, everyone on the Ultrasoft, but we got half of them queuing up in the pit lane. Let's see what these McLaren team do, because they look like they're about to release a car. One's just come into the pits, so it's almost like you can come into the pits but you're not able to get out. So they're all reporting that they are stuck in the pit lane. So wow, when you thought you'd seen it all, think again.
I think Techno will be regretting not finishing that lap now, as it looks like he may well not be able to get out again. Although it says he's on a night lap actually. Has he been able to get back out on circuit? Yeah, he has. So he's managed to get back out and back on track. I'm guessing he was at the end of the pit lane in the Cyber, so he was beyond the queue perhaps?
So it looks to me we've got Matt Your Daddy, Emphatix, Dweller's retired. He's just put it on in 4th, and then he's just retired from the session because he's out of fuel, so he's done. Probably didn't fancy joining that queue. But yeah, it looks like we've got Maverick, Matt Your Daddy, Emphatic. Kian hasn't come out. Kian's stuck in his garage. Greenfin stuck in his garage. Gazza's heading this queue, so Gazza's causing the block at the moment. And we got 1 minute and 47 seconds left, Jono. And I feel like the grid, what you're looking at on the left-hand side, is going to be how we start this race.
Yeah, apart from Techno Thriller, of course, who is on circuit.
So
he was able
Stifler
to
as well.
come back out. Yeah, so I think the cars that were ahead of that queue, whose pit garages are ahead of that queue, were able to get back out. Any car that was behind that queue couldn't return to the circuit. So, yeah, as you say, apart from a couple of drivers, the grid is nailed on by the look of it.
So we'll see what Techno Thriller and Stifler can do. They're both on quick laps. They're both could be right up there in terms of the top times. But yeah, it appears been a bit of an anticlimax here to qualifying. You get a full grid, you make it through past these PSN issues, and then no surprise that the F1 game lets you down.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. Obviously, spoiled the qualifying session for us watching, and obviously for the drivers as well, especially who haven't been able to get out at all and set a lap time and show what they can do. But it is what it is, I guess. And yeah, we have to make the best of it and see what the drivers can do in the race. It will definitely spice the race up, that's for sure. With obviously Kian, etc., being way down the grid, a lot lower than they'd have otherwise hoped to be. So yeah, it will be an interesting opening few laps of the race as they look to move forward, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Stifler steals pole position by 4 tenths, so it just shows you, Jono, out on track. Perhaps it's getting a little bit grippier with some tyres being laid down, but Cobblers is back in, so again we're back to full force. But here comes Techno Thriller. What can he do as he comes into the final sector under the grandstand? Well, this is one of my favourite parts of this section, this fast-flowing section, where you can really ride the curbs, see if you can dance the car around. Can you get the back end dancing around the corners? Little lift, you can carry so much more downforce in this last 2 corners. What's it going to be? And he takes pole position. So Techno Thriller, last man out on track to set a lap time, has stolen pole position. You have to say, Jono, he'll be smiling and saying, bit of luck.
Well, yeah, he obviously had his share of luck in that a lot of drivers didn't get out, but he had to deliver the lap. There were still some decent lap times out there. Stifler, the Booster, Kev all put good laps in, and he went out there and delivered. So fair play to him on that.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll have to wait for this timer to count down, and as we see, yeah, we got the queue still stuck. It looks like we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with their engineer standing outside of their pit garage holding their hand up. So it appears some are stuck in the pit lane, some are stuck waiting to be released. But unfortunately, guys, that is session over. It's just one of those things. I think, Jono, it's just unfortunate for those who weren't able to, set a lap time. And you have to say the biggest drivers out of position are going to be Kian, Cobblers. You would have thought Gaza would have been near the top 10. Jonas, of course, will be, if he starts 15th, I'm sure he'll be absolutely chuffed with that after he should have started 20th with his quali ban, but that's just the luck of the draw. But as you said, Jono, it's hard to hook a lap up here, and we can't take anything away from Techno Thriller. He had to do it, and he delivered.
Yeah, he had to get the job done, and he did exactly that. The drivers who didn't get to set a time, they've got to try and put it to the back of their minds now, not let it frustrate them and get to them. You've got to start the race with a clear mind as best you can, and go out and get a result out of it. It's obviously a really, really long race here, although qualifying is important in terms of it not being the easiest track to overtake. We know it's a long race, and I'm sure plenty of incidents will happen along the way, so they've all got to put it out of their minds now and just get on with the race.
Yeah, exactly. We can't restart, of course, because we already delayed. 12 drivers were able to set a time. This is just one of those things you could restart and the same thing could happen again. Unfortunately, it's just a bug that comes with the game. But we'll shortly bring you the full qualifying results. But whilst we wait, Jono, Singapore, it's always provided. It's becoming, as it was reported in the History and Track Guide, one of the classic F1 TS Hub races, because it just always throws everything up, the results. Everything up in the air, especially with rain scheduled for later on.
Yeah, it just seems to be one of those circuits that is going down in TS Hub history as a bit of a legendary circuit. It just seems to encourage on-track battles, obviously controversy, but you've got, it's quite a quick track, although it's a street circuit with the walls lining the circuit. It's quite a fast layout, so it's high risk and high commitment through the corners. And it just seems to encourage good racing. We've had lots of different pit strategies in the past, obviously safety cars spicing things up as well. and as you say, the weather. So yeah, let's hope that this one delivers another classic to put down in the history books.
We're just waiting for the session to end. I'm not really sure why it's not.
The time remaining is stuck on 1 for me.
Yes, me too. So we perhaps if they all retire from the session.
Perhaps so. Yeah, the countdown timer was working perfectly until we got to 1 and then no further. So yeah, the cars remain in the pit lane as they have done for the last 10 minutes or so. And as we now move forward by the look of it, at least on my screen.
Yeah, I'm stuck on board with Lemaine, who's queuing in the pit lane now. So we'll wait to see. Alright, there we are. Yeah, we got confirmation of the results. So Techno Thriller takes pole position, Stifler takes second, the Bookster's in third, Kev's in fourth, Dweller's in fifth, Spider Atlas takes sixth, seventh position is Lemaine, 8th is Ols, 9th is Jamie, 10th is Lukey, 11th is Razor, Maverick is 12th. Those are the only guys to set lap times. We've had Matt Your Daddy, Emphatic, Jonas, Kian, Greenfin, Cobblers, Gazer and Ali unable to set a time. Jonas wasn't allowed to because of a penalty, qualifying ban, but all the others weren't able to get out on track due to a pit lane glitch where they were all stuck. Yeah, looks like we're going to be able to get underway. Hopefully we don't have any issues. Hopefully Kian can rejoin. Sorry, left the session. He has. So we'll wait for everyone to reload, and hopefully, Jono, we can just get underway with no issues and put on another cracker.
Yeah, fingers crossed. It was definitely an interesting tactic there from Gaza and his Red Bull team to park him in the pit lane for 10 minutes of the qualifying session. But hopefully now we can put those issues behind us and get on with the race.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully, as you said, Kian's back in. Drivers are readying up now after choosing their fuel and strategy, but we are hearing there is rain going to be later on in the race, so perhaps that will throw strategies up. Remember, everyone starting outside the top 11 will be able to select their tyre, brand new of course. Well, you think they'd put a brand new one on. We'll see some different strategies as... Alrighty, so I'm now hovering in the pit lane. No, I'm back.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, me too.
So let's see if...
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see when the rain's coming. Obviously, I'm not sure exactly how long in the race, but it looks like Jonas has gone for the soft and Cobblers for the super soft. So yeah, maybe the rain is towards the latter half of the race. Otherwise, I was going to suggest they might run the harder tyre and try and get as near to that rain as they can, and try and maybe get a pit stop on the cars ahead. But looks like most of the guys have gone with the ultras.
Yeah, definitely. I think the ultras are, you know, it's being such a long lap, Jono, that extra grip for 1 minute and 40, I think it really plays into your hands more so than perhaps other tracks. And we've often found here, I remember from racing, that although the tires don't seem to wear as quick in terms of percentage, actual performance-wise, they seem to drop off quite a bit, but you can't feel it in the car.
Yeah, you just seem to lose lap time, and then we were surprised when we were racing and practicing here in the past that we still felt we were driving okay and the car felt okay, and then we were looking at our lap times to find we were 2 seconds a lap down on what the other car was doing. So yeah, you definitely get that initial kick of grip here on the fresh tyres with obviously so many corners, 23 odd corners around this track. That extra grip in each of these corners makes all the difference. It just gives you the confidence to push and deliver the lap times, which you only get on those fresh tyres.
Yeah, lovely shot across the bay here as we're watching the drivers head towards the final third of the lap to get ready to line up on the grid. We're hearing that Cobblers is back in now, so will he be able to get back in his car? We're hearing that Kian cannot race. He cannot get back in his car for the start of this race. So we've got potentially one of our championship contenders unable to join the session, which is a bit frustrating for him and for us, Jono, that we won't get to have a race started with, you know, a full grid.
Yeah, absolutely. After achieving the full grid, which is obviously brilliant, and we know Kian was looking good here, so yeah, it's gutting for him and for us watching if he can't make it back in. It seems him and Cobblers are having the connection issues with the disconnect, so I don't think we've had anyone else disconnect from the session, so let's hope things are stable as the cars line up on the grid.
Yeah, definitely. Cars are lined up. They're all here. Looks like we've only got 19. Cobblers is in his car. Let's see exactly what's going to happen here. 5 lights are on, and now they're out. Waiting for everyone to go. Seen a bit of a delay there. Looks like Stifler's got a good start. Techno Thriller comes to cover it off, but they kind of feed into turn 1. Techno Thriller goes well wide. He's going to get a warning for that. Can't see too much carnage yet, as we're seeing Jonas fall down the order. Everyone seems to be staying near enough where they are on the upper 2-3 places. We haven't had any major incidents. As we're seeing a Sauber go up in the air, then that was Dweller. I don't know whether he's lost any wing. Nope. As we're about to go 3 side by side through turn 6, he's pushing Lemaine on my screen. I don't actually think he just went under Lemaine's car. My goodness.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Lemaine's stuck on top of him at the moment. So, my goodness, some of the things that you see on this game are just absolutely ridiculous. We'll just leave that one as they're getting a little bit close for comfort, but I don't think that's at the moment. But it appears Dweller is up a position into 4th, so we'll just keep an eye on that. Looks like the main, according to them, just hit him, but again, there's no wing damage, so it's just looking likely that a few desyncing issues. Yellow flags in sector 2. What's happened? We got a Renault there, looked like to me, with wing damage. That's Spider Atlas. Spider Atlas has wing damage. So he's going to drop down. Definitely, if he's going to have to come into the pits. Alza's dropped down the order. He is currently in 12th position. Got Maverick, who's in 50s. He's dropped down. Ali's just behind him. As we're seeing Greenfin and Jonas bring up the rear. Cobbler's didn't retire, but disconnected from the session. He's been disqualified from it. So it just seems to me that Jono, perhaps Kian and Cobbler's, as you said, they were the only 2 that disconnected. Perhaps they're having their own connection issues or something like that.
Yeah, it seems to be affecting them more than anyone else, that's for sure. Yeah, Techno out in front where he wanted to be, and be interesting to see now if he can push on. We know he's good at the start of races on fresh tyres, so yeah, I'll be happy to be leading out of lap 1 and onto lap 2. As you say, he did cut the corner there at the beginning of the race. I don't think he was actually under that much pressure from Stifler behind, but I think I've done it myself. The sort of worry of having the cars behind you and seeing those arrows, it just makes you brake a little bit late, and I think that's what he did, and it made him run across the corner, but luckily no damage was done. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the battle unfolds now between these couple of cars. Yeah,
Ali's the only driver to come into the pits at the end of the first lap. So Spider Atlas didn't come into pits with that damage. Matt, your daddy's moving down the order. What's happened to him? He has spun it, and wing damage. That looks to me turn 9, I believe. Turn 9 in the middle sector. Could be wrong, but it looks to me like he's got a little bit of front left end plate damage. Down in 14th place now, the Ferrari driver. His teammate is currently in 7th. But yeah, Ali got speeding in the pit lane, so he's still struggling with that. He has been ever since he joined the league. And yeah, he's the only driver to stop on the first lap, so I would have thought we would have seen maybe a bit more of a busier pit lane at the first round, at the first lap, but they've done well to keep it clean. As you mentioned, Jonas on the soft tyres, everyone else now on the ultra soft tyre.
Yeah, it was a remarkably clean opening lap. I saw Force India tap the wall on the exit of turn 5, but I don't think any damage was done there. I think it was the rear of the car. As it's really congested in that midfield area. You mentioned Lukey being in 7th there in the Ferrari, but behind him from 8th down to I think 11th or 12th, it's very, very close, and McLaren pulls out of the slipstream actually of the Renault Spider, and they go side by side through turn 1, and yeah, position gain there for Razor, who moves up into 8th place. So it's definitely all on between this group of cars in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, getting really close. Need to keep the noses clean. Long way to go in this race, and we do think there is rain coming as well. So as we go around the kink of turn 6, I always didn't like overtaking here, John. It just made me so nervous with that kink in halfway down the straight, doing such high speeds.
Yeah, it's horrible. You always feel if you're on the inside, you're going to get squeezed into the wall, and likewise on the outside, you just worry of the car drifting across into you. And it's hard to be the car being overtaken as well, because you know, it's such a high-speed corner, as you say. You're always a bit nervous about giving enough space, and it's always a bit of a risky one. But it is probably still the best overtaking point on the circuit, so you've got to go for it.
Do you think Spider Atlas should call a day, come in and get that front wing change, Jono? You know, he's looks like he's creating a bit of a train here, which obviously he's entitled to do, but he's just going to be losing performance. He could perhaps strap on the soft tyres, convert to a two-stop, which is possible anyway, as we're seeing the Boogster and Dweller going almost side by side, just enough room given there. The Boogster up a position now into 5th, Dweller down to 6th position. So we're hearing that on the stream, thanks to our Season 5 champion Temp Fears, that issue with Dweller and Lemaine is they're desynced, so they can't actually see each other on track. As Dweller spins it, and he's in the inside wall. Doesn't look to be too much wing damage, just a bit of end plate, but Jono, that's what happens when you get on rich fuel exiting the last corner.
It is, we've seen it before, and it's a horrible section of the track if you like rears up, as we've got cars crashing into each other on my screen, as I guess we've got some more desync going on. But yeah, he's got to pit this lap obviously and get that wing changed. We've seen a few times this season on this game, drivers try and continue with a damaged wing, and it costs them so much time, so yeah, definitely expect him in the end of this lap.
Yeah, Jamie's just got past now, Dweller down to 10th position, so we'll keep an eye on him, see if he comes into the pits. We've got Matt, your daddy, and Jonas on the soft tyre, everyone else on the supers, just to keep you updated with strategies. Gaza has just fallen down a position, Emphatic has just overtaken in his Force India. Emphatic keeps hovering on the final point scoring positions, and we're yet to have a retiree on track after 4 laps. Techno Thriller still leads. Stifler moved down from the pinnacle tier earlier in the season. He's been away skiing the last couple races, so hope he had fun, Stifler. But he's back, and he definitely has the pace to challenge these championship contenders.
Yeah, he definitely does. I'm just watching Jamie behind Spider. He's obviously desperate to get by. He's sandwiched between 2 cars with wing damage. So yeah, Jamie will be desperate to get by as soon as he can and take that 8th place off Spider. But yeah, he's not finding it that easy to do at the moment by the look of it.
Yeah, we're seeing Ols and Dweller go side by side. Dweller just gets back on the inside. Ols is going to hang around the outside. No, Dweller thinks better of it than sling it down the inside. Ols did give him room, so A-class driving from thens to there. It looks like Dweller hit the wall again. Surely he's going to have to come into the pits. He's struggling to get the car turned in. Cuts one of the final corners. Needs to keep it on the left-hand side if he wants to come into the pits, which he's doing as he taps the wall again. So get the car slowed down, and yeah, into the pits he comes.
Yeah, he made the garage. I bet he'll be so relieved to have made it back. That would have been a horrible lap for him, as he saw so much time being lost there. So yeah, new wing for him. I guess probably the soft tyres and go back out and continue on. Obviously frustrating for him, but a long way to go, and with possibly wet weather to come as well. He's just got to put his head down now and put in some decent lap times.
Yeah, definitely, and anything can happen here, Johnny. Singapore is a race you should never count yourself out, because you just don't know what's going to happen, especially with the forecast being as it is. Just riding on board, Lemaine is all over the back of Kev, so Kian, who I'm sure is watching, will be going, Kev, do not let that Mercedes past you at all costs. Techno Thriller, of course, leading this race, another championship contender, but Lemaine has led this championship for quite a while of this podium tier season 10, and he's currently in 4th position, howling the back of Kev, who's doing a brilliant job in 3rd place, has to be said, and Jamie's still yet to get past Spider Atlas. I had a little practice with some of these guys yesterday, Jono, and it is so difficult to overtake here.
Yeah, even with the wing damage, as we say, the trouble is the wing damage doesn't affect him in the main overtaking spot of obviously the straight between turn 5 and turn 7 there. As long as he can get an exit out of there, then Jamie's going to be struggling to pass him, so he'll be super frustrated that he's so much quicker. You can see how much quicker he is through the corners, but once they get to that point, he's just not able to get alongside and make a pass.
Yeah, I think Lemaine's having similar issues. Yellow flags in Sector 2 and 3. Spider Atlas has now had an incident. He's come into the pit, so he's decided to call it a day with that wing damage, and he is in. So a few drivers behind will move up. Just saw Green Finno's riding on board. Oh, he goes into the wall. That's wing damage for him now in the Haas. He couldn't get the car slowed down. Looked like he locked the front up. So perhaps his brake bias is... yeah, he locked the front up again, so perhaps his brake bias he's struggling with a little bit. But he was power sliding it out of some of these corners, and now he's struggling with the front end of the car. Techno Thriller leads by 1.5. Stifler and Kev make up the podium positions. Ols just gets ahead of Jamie and outbrakes himself. So now Jamie and Emphatic steal ahead of the... it's been pretty entertaining so far, Jono.
Yeah, it absolutely has. And you mentioned the overtaking difficulties. I've been staying on board with Kevin Lemaine, and he wasn't able to get remotely close on that section of track we were talking about, so he's going to have to wait for a mistake or find somewhere else to do it, because he wasn't anywhere near making a pass that last lap round.
Yes, and Lemaine's going to want to get that job done soon rather than later. Tyres will start to go off, and it'll be even more difficult to follow a car when you've got a slidey rear and the front not being as pointy as you'd like it. So we'll keep an eye on that battle as we look further down the order. Emphatix and Jamie and Ols, look at these three. They're literally nose to tail in the final sector. Emphatix looks pretty racy today.
Yeah, he does. He's looking pretty solid here, and looking like he's definitely got the pace on Jamie at the moment, losing the rear of the car there a bit on the exit, trying to get on the power as early as he can. But we've got a yellow flag by looking at sector 3 as well, perhaps.
Bookster's in the pits,
yeah.
And he's changing his front wing as well, and he's gone back out on Ultra Softs, so he's definitely two-stopping this race. Jonas up to 11th position now, 10th position on his soft tyres, so he's doing pretty well there, as the Bookster is going to shortly be putting the power down to exit the pits. Let's see how he manages this pit exit, which is so tricky. Gives the wall a little kiss, but yeah, I think he got away with that one. As we seeing now Maverick come into the pits for some super soft tyres, so a range of strategies here. Dweller went on to the ultra softs when he came in for his stop, so perhaps these drivers expecting the rain and they just want to be on the quickest tyre for as much of the race as they can.
Yeah, you can do it either way. You can either take that approach and just run the quickest tyre as much as you can, or you can risk going for the soft tyre and running as long into the race as you can, and obviously hope the rain comes before you have to pit again. So it's obviously a bit of a toss-up as to which you go for, and it's interesting to see, as like you mentioned, we are already seeing quite a split in strategy as the drivers come in to make their first pit stops.
Yeah, definitely. We're on lap 7 only out of 31. It feels like we've had so much drama already. We'll try and give you guys a summary in just a second. But Emphatix all over the back of Jamie, so it looks like these two are going to have a race-long battle. We know Jamie obviously announcing he's retiring at the end of the season, but he'll be thriving on situations like this. As Ols goes deep there, I think he just escaped the barrier.
Yeah, he's dropped off the back a little bit of those other two cars as well. As Emphatic is still virtually pushing Jamie along the circuit, looking for a position way past any way he can. If he can't make it work, I wonder if he will try and pit a bit earlier than Jamie and get an undercut, as Jamie runs wide on the exit in the final corner though, and Emphatic comes up on the inside. And this should be job done once he picks his braking point for turn 1, which he does. Small lock up, but he gets it onto the apex, and Jamie gives him space and position gains. So the Force Indian moves up into 7th. And it'll be interesting to see now if Jamie can hang on to him, or whether he falls back into the clutches of Ols in 9th.
Yeah, fantastic racing, both giving each other room. That's exactly what we like to see here at F1 TS Hub. Dweller sets the fastest lap on his newer ultra soft tyres. Stifler, of course, in 2nd place, returning from his holiday. It looks to be pretty close at the front there between those two, but just Techno Thriller just edging away a few tenths every lap. We've got Razart now all over the back of Lukey, so two veteran drivers here at F1 TS Hub about to dance for 5th and 6th position. Exciting to see how they both get on. They're both having a good race here. Lukey especially, he always struggles with Singapore, does Lukey, but he's putting on a cracker for today. As we're seeing Emphatix go wide now, is that going to open the door for Jamie a little bit to try and get on the power early? I don't think he's got enough on the exit. But we'll quickly summarise, Jono. We started the race, qualifying session with full 20 drivers. We had a few disconnections with Kian and Cobblers. Gaza then got stuck in the pit lane and wasn't able to, as we're seeing Techno Thriller and Stifler come into the pits. First and second are both into the pits. How will this affect? No one's changing their front wings by the look of it to me. Nope, both going onto the Ultra Soft tyres. So they're both going onto the Ultra Soft tyre, quickest tyre, the one they started on, and it's actually quite early for that lap 8. So who was that followed them in? A Haas driver as well by the looks of it. That's got to be
Jamie.
That's got to be Green Finn. Yeah, Green Finn. Now Jamie and Ols are in the pits as well. So obviously drivers feeling the tyres are going off a little bit quicker than perhaps anticipated. Kev now leads this race, and Lemaine is in second. Dropped back though over the last lap. As we're seeing Lukey and Razor go side by side through turn 7. Razor gets pushed off the track. You have to say it's a corner. If you try and hang it around the outside, you are risking your 4 wheels ending up the other side of the curb. But hard, but I just caught the end of it, Jono, so I couldn't quite tell you whether Razor was warranted any room or not.
Yeah, it's always a bit risky going around the outside, but you know, from what we've seen, drivers aren't able to get it done where we thought they might, so they're having to look for other places to make the move. And Razor had a go, didn't work out, but he looks to be all intact. His front wing's all intact, so he'll go again. As I think Razor usually does pretty well here. He seems to like this circuit, so he'll be looking for a good result. So yeah, we'll see how he goes. But you mentioned it being quite early for pit stops, but I was on board with Jamie there on that last lap before he boxed, and the rear of his rear tyres were gone. It was sliding all over the shop on the last half of the lap, so it was definitely time to come in for him. There was no life left in those tyres.
Top 2 are in as well, Jono, so Kev and Lemaine went a lap longer, but they're both coming into the pits. This is perfect 2-stop window, I believe, lap 9 and 10. You're going to go for 2 ultras and a set of supers. So, Lemaine definitely gained on Kev there through the pit stop. So the Mercedes getting a quicker stop. Where's Techno Thriller? He's gone past now. So has Stifler. Look at Stifler right on the back of Techno Thriller, who's stuck behind Razor, who now leads this race.
Yeah, Razor going long, and you know, I've been on board with him, and his car's quite stable compared with Jamie. The rear of his car still looking decent, so his tyres are hanging on. But I'm slightly surprised that Lemaine followed Kev in there, as we know he was struggling to make a pass. I'm surprised he didn't try and do something different, whether that was pit a lap earlier or even go a lap longer. But following him in, he's come back out behind. As Bookster then goes down the inside of Lemaine.
Booksters, you're saying, goes down the inside of Lemaine, gets the job done. I was just running on board Stifler. Techno Thriller got past Razor and on the straight. And Stifler wasn't able to get through, so he slung it down the inside to turn 8. A late move, but managed to get the car onto the apex, and that's absolutely crucial to not letting Techno Thriller pull away this lap. But Bookster, well done getting a move on Lemaine, so showing the championship leader, I'm here to give you a title challenge as well. Currently down in 4th in the standings, a little way off the points, but if he pulls performances off and moves off like that, he'll definitely be in this battle soon enough. Jonas yet to come into the pits on the soft tyre. Perhaps we should take this time just to run through exactly who has and hasn't pitted. So Razor and Jonas, the only 2 drivers not to come in yet. Razor in 3rd, Jonas in 7th. And Jonas is on the soft tyre. We can also see that Matt Your Daddy has pitted onto the soft, so is Spider Atlas, and so is Gaza. Everyone else has chosen to go onto the Ultra Softs for their 2nd stint. Pretty much as we were.
Going again, by the way.
So obviously managing those tyres. I'm not sure whether Razor was one of the drivers who was stuck in the pit lane. If he was, John, don't forget they would have started on fresh tyres, so perhaps that enables them to go a little bit longer. And he's definitely going to be able to play with his strategy a little bit the longer he goes with this.
Yeah, he's definitely opening up his strategy options, although he has already dropped a huge amount of time to the cars who overtook him. Stifler, I think it was, who said, who made his way by Antechno. He's dropping, you know, several seconds a lap, but as you say, it may well come to him at the end. He may be able to do something different, and yeah, it may come to play later on, but at this point in the race it is hurting him now, going a couple of laps longer than everyone else.
Yeah, definitely, as we're about to see what looks to be Kev and the Bookster line him up for a pass. And we'll see whether they can get that done. Oh, Kev gets so close. So I don't know whether that was ring damage. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's what I was. Oh, Bookster, what was that? That was a crazy move. He takes himself
Yeah.
and Razor off. That was looked to me like he just didn't plan to stop the car, which I'm sure wasn't the case.
Yeah, I don't know whether we weren't seeing what was actually happening there, because he just, you know, certainly on my screen, he just absolutely slung it down the inside there, but he had no chance of stopping. And yeah, certainly from our view, that was a crazy move. But I'm assuming and sort of hoping it was slightly different from his point of view.
Yeah, definitely. I think he was lucky as well. He doesn't seem to have any damage on his wing from that. So still behind Razor. Of course, that cost Razor time as well, who wasn't able to turn into the corner, which let Lemaine and Kev through. So, oh, look at Lemaine all over the back of Kev. This has been a race-long battle. And Lemaine needs to... Lemaine drives with his head, for sure, you have to say, Jono.
Yeah, he's not doing anything risky. He's following, probing, looking for something he can, but you know, at the same time, Kev doesn't make errors himself. Well, I shouldn't commentate as cursing, but so far at least he's driven well, and the pressure isn't getting to him. He's just hitting his apexes. He knows that Lemaine can't find anywhere to get by at the moment, as long as he drives and you know, drives correctly through all the corners, which he is doing at the moment. So as we mentioned before, slightly surprised Lemaine didn't try and do something different on strategy, because he's now back in exactly the same position he was in before. But yeah, he's driving with his head, and there's still plenty of opportunities still to come, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. We've got a few gaps looking pretty close. Emphatic and Matt Your Daddy about to go side by side through turn 7. Emphatic just gets room on the outside. Matt Your Daddy just gives him a squeeze, but you have to say that's job done. Oh, fantastic overtaking maneuver right on the limit with Matt Your Daddy. He gave as much as a defense as he could, but quicker tyre, Johnny, you have to say that was extra grip there from the Force India driver, and he's now up into 9th. He is looking very racy today. I've obviously commentated throughout all the podium tiers, and I haven't seen him this clinical and aggressive before, so be interested to see how he can do. Matt Your Daddy now under attack from Jamie on his ultra soft tyres as well.
Yeah, Matt Your Daddy's just got to take the pain there a little bit. He's obviously on the soft tyre. He's 2 compounds you know, harder than the cars around him, so he's got to obviously battle hard. But if people get alongside you like that, you've got to give up the position. There's no point trying to race people who've got an inherent big pace advantage over you at this point in the race, and so far he's done that pretty well from what we've seen.
Speaking of doing well, Techno Thriller still leads this race. He led away from pole position, hasn't looked back. I haven't actually seen, John, too many time penalties pop up in the right left-hand corner of the screen, so perhaps drivers respecting the track limits a lot more than we thought. Look at that, spoke too soon, eh? Spoke too soon.
Yeah.
Commentator's curse. Jamie goes down the inside there of Matt Your Daddy. The extra grip just allowing him. Matt Your Daddy tries to come back down the inside of turn 3, sorry. Wasn't able to get the job done, and Jamie is away now. Matt Your Daddy will get DRS, but I don't think that'll help him with the extra grip and pace that Jamie currently has on those quicker tyres. Now, for the first time, other than these two, don't think we have anyone in DRS, Jono.
Yeah, the field has spread out just a touch, a couple of seconds between a lot of the cars as they try and find their feet now, and obviously approaching towards the middle of the race, and people just finding their way, finding their natural position in the race, making their way up the grid. Obviously we had a mixed up grid because half the drivers couldn't get out, so we had drivers of all sorts of different pace up and down the grid, but they've made their ways forward and back in the opening half, and maybe it'll settle down just a little bit now, and drivers will be just looking to take these set of tyres cleanly to their next scheduled stop and avoid wing damage and things like that.
Yep, definitely. Next scheduled stop, you imagine if they did about 8-9 laps on the Ultras, it's going to be lap 18-19 perhaps, so we'll keep an eye as we're not even halfway yet, so we did mention this race is long, and it is proving exactly to be just that. 1.1 seconds between 0.8 of a second, so Emphatic really putting the medal down. Dweller's tyres after his early stop, you have to say they'll be coming towards the end of his life now, and we'll keep an eye on this battle as Emphatic is going to open his DRS as we head down to turn 1, and is he going to sling it down the inside? No, thinks better of it. It's going to line him up, John, perhaps the straight, as the Force India definitely looks racy today.
Yeah, it does. You wouldn't bet against him making a move sooner or later as well, as we've already seen so far. And he gets a good exit as well there compared to the cyber driver. He opens DRS. Oh, he moves very late to the right hand side there, at least on my view. But it looks like he'll get the job done as he picks his braking point, and he's clearly ahead of the car. And yeah, position gained, and he moves forward once again into 8th. Next on his hit list will be Lukey.
Yeah, definitely Lukey do a good job there, just behind Jonas, has to be said. So Jonas having yet to step, Lukey's gonna, touches the wall there. I think he got away with that one. Obviously a lot quicker on those tyres, but this is the section of the track, Johnny, you wouldn't want to catch someone slower or someone a back marker. It's just single fire really, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely is, as he's just proven. But he will get a better exit on those ultra softs, although I think he had nowhere to go there on the initial exit in the corner, as he was right up behind Jonas's car, so he had nowhere to go. But he'll try and get the undercut now into here. He does get alongside, and that should be job done now. As he does, he holds it to the right-hand side, as they nearly come together there in the braking zone. But yeah, he's gained that position, and he's done it just in time as well, with Emphatic closing in behind, and he'll now be looking to get by Jonas as quick as he can.
Yeah, so Jonas currently is 7th place, the only driver yet to come into the pits. He started on those soft tyres. Speaking of Jonas, he just gives himself a 3-second penalty. I believe he's coming in.
Pits.
Yeah, he's coming in. So Emphatic, one less car he's going to need to overtake on track. Gets the car slowed down. Perfect pit entry, and he'll head towards his McLaren pit box.
Yeah, well indeed, and Emphatic looking like he's already making inroads into Lukey, so I expect in just a couple of laps time, if he can keep this up, he will be on the back of the Ferrari driver and looking to make another move. So
yeah,
he definitely
dropped off
move.
Too much on though. He's just hovering about a second behind on those older ultra soft. We should expect to see him come in soon, perhaps put on the what I imagine would be a super soft run, or even if he feels that won't last, a soft run. But I don't see any signs of this rain yet that was mentioned for later in the session. But you just don't know with Singapore. No safety cars, of course, yet. They're a rarity in this game, but we'll keep an eye out, as Maverick is the latest driver to get a 3-second penalty. Jono, what is it with me saying stuff and then it happening? I just saw rain.
Oh my god, yeah, you are... yeah, the commentator's curse is real from you, so please don't mention that Edward is doing particularly well in this race, because they will be crashing out a few corners later. So yeah, watch what you say from now on. But yeah, rain coming, that will definitely spice things up. Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what happens now. The drivers will be absolutely, scared of seeing those first drops come down. Although it is a chance to make up positions for the lower half of the field, but guys like Techno at the front, he's got everything to lose, nothing to gain. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see who makes the first call, if indeed it does get wet enough to come in for another set of tyres.
It looks like it's starting to come down a bit heavier in the final sector rather than the first. So yeah, you can definitely see it from the heli shot now. The rain is coming down. It looks light so far. Jono, it's just going to be a case of how quickly does it come down. And that'll judge when drivers have to come in, obviously. But those who started on the Ultras, pitted on lap 9, went on to the Ultras again, perhaps they're in a good position to try and extend this stint so when the rain does come down, they can time it and go on to inters or full wets, whatever's required, of course.
Yeah, you think they've still got 4 or 5 laps in hand on those tyres if they need to. So looking at the moment, like those who went ultra to ultra, it will work out well for them. I can see a couple of drivers already locking front tyres into the braking zone, so definitely already getting a little bit slippery out there. As you mentioned, when will it get wet enough? It can be very, very quick on this game. It can a lap or two later from the first raindrops, and you can be needing to pit for inters. It will just be getting heavier quite quickly, so I think it won't be too long if it carries on like this before we see drivers stopping for wet tyres or winter tyres.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. You have to say Dweller's in a bad position. He pitted lap 4, I think it was, onto Ultras, so he's done 13. And whether he's going to be able to extend them to the rain, you have to say he's going to be perhaps in one of the worst positions in terms of strategy. Jonas as well, of course, he only just came into the pits, but if the rain does hold off for more than 3 or 4 laps, then he's going to be pushing on those fresh tyres whilst everyone's struggling on their worn ultra softs. Ali's into the pit, so we'll keep an eye on what flashes up for him. I don't think it's time yet for inters. They do work in quite most conditions in the rain, the inters on this game, so when drivers do come in, inters are going to be their preferred choice, you have to say. Emphatix is all over the back of Lukey now, as we're seeing the rain coming down on the scarlet red of the Ferrari. what are these drivers going to do? The pressure's on now. It just adds this extra element of you know, vulnerability and surprisefulness, because Singapore always is that way. But with range on it, to keep it out the barrier, it's just a nightmare.
Yeah, it is absolutely a nightmare, and it's very easy to get sort of duped by the game as well, into thinking, oh my god, it's wet, I must pit for inters, I'm struggling, but they're not actually yet the quicker tyre, so it is definitely difficult to judge. I think Razor will be quite a big loser out of this, because he pitted obviously later than everyone else, but went to the super soft tyre, so he planned for a long second stint, and of course the rain has come already. So he now finds himself down in 12th place as he lost so much time on those ultras.
Maverick's done out the session. The Red Bull driver has binned it.
On the Inter.
Yeah, that was on the Inter tyre. Dweller's also come in and gone into the Inters. So I definitely think the Inters aren't the right call now. Maverick's just backed that up. We got yellow flags as sector 1. That's just coming onto the main straight. So our first retiree, lap 18. I think that's got to be a record in Singapore. As Cobbler's disconnected. So well done. Making it this far, all the drivers. Lemaine and Bookster, what's happened there? We've seen a position change. Looks like Lemaine's recovering from something as the Bookster now comes into the pit. So does Lemaine. Lemaine makes a late call, follows his rival in, and we're going to see them both come in. Will the Mercedes get a jump on the Force India here? This will be really interesting. Wing change for Lemaine. Wing change.
Yeah, wing change. Techno's got another lap. I think that probably is the right lap to pit there. I was watching on board with a couple of guys on the ultras, and they were really starting to struggle.
Lukey's
the second half of that lap. Yeah, so be interesting to see how Techno obviously had a big buffer there, but yeah, he's just got to bring it round. Jamie retires from the session.
Jamie's been in the pits. Jamie's come into the pits full speed. That's the second time this season. He's done the exact same thing at Baku, if you remember. He hit his front wheel off coming into the pits. And he is out of this session, so heartbreak for the Toro Rosso driver. He was putting in a good job up till then.
He's having a good drive.
Yeah, so see, look at the tyre combines. A complete mix of who's doing what. As we see Lukey come out now, he's come on to he's put on the Inter. So anyone that's pits, you have to say are going to put on the Inter weather tyre. We've got the top 4. Emphatic's currently in 4th, and let's keep an eye. His teammate is just behind on Inters. And we'll have a look who's going to pull away from who. The gap's at a second now.
Yeah, it seems to be quite a strange position at the moment. There's cars struggling on dries and wet tyres. I'm not sure what tyre is actually going to work out the quickest at the moment, but there's drivers on both compounds. Matty Daddy in 6th, but on the soft.
Techno Thriller goes on. Stifler comes into the pit, so alternate strategies for the top 2. This is really going to get interesting. Has Techno Thriller taken this too far? Has Stifler blown here the chance of a win by going early? Kev's in as well, so 2nd and 3rd into the pits. And for Tix, what's he's going to do? He's going to be the next driver. The top 3, by the way, John, have an enormous gap to the rest of the field.
They do, yeah, they have a massive gap. The rain has sort of levelled out a bit. It doesn't look to be getting any wetter really to me at the moment. So maybe, you know, Techno's call of going long on these Ultras tyres will pay dividends. It'll definitely be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of laps.
Put it this way, John, and the Bookster is definitely quicker than his teammate on pace on most occasions, and he's struggling to keep up with him. He's pulled the gap out 1.2 in the final 2 sectors of this lap. I think it's just at that crossover point where it's just greasy. Your tires that it's time for intermediates, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, I think you might be right. He's taking it so cautious, the booster through turn 5. He's got absolutely no front end grip, and it's definitely a really awkward situation for the drivers at the moment. You just want it. You'd rather it be wetter. You'd rather just be definite in your mind what's happening. But when you're in this sort of split position, you just don't know where the grip will be as you get to each corner. And Empatic really struggling as well. The booster closing onto the back of him now by the look of it.
Yeah, we've got Alls, Spider, Razor, Gaza all coming in for Inters now. So that'll leave only Techno Thriller, Emphatix, Matt Your Daddy, Jonas, and Greenfin on the dry tyres. Greenfin having a nightmare of a race down at the back there. Pretty lonely, I imagine. But look at Jonas. We're about to see now Ultrasoft versus intermediates. It does look wet, but it's just really difficult. It's at that point, Jono, where it's just either tyre, I think, is you're going to be struggling a little bit, but Techno Thriller, look at the gap he's got to Stifler. Book's just got past.
42 seconds, yeah, he has.
So perhaps now's the time. Now is perhaps the time. Techno Thriller is in. Techno Thriller's in. So he's coming out now, and he's going to lead this race by some margin. Jono, you have to say, an absolute strategic masterclass by the looks of things.
Yeah, the gap's absolutely huge. I'm not so sure quite how it got out to such a gap there, but yeah, he rejoins with an absolutely healthy lead. There's definitely no need for him to risk anything now on his inters. M6 in, okay.
So I expect to see, Matt Your Daddy's in as well.
Okay, so everyone's switching over now. So the time has well and truly come.
Empatix hit his wing there on entrance, it looked it, or he just got stuck or something on the pit entrance. As Matt Your Daddy came around the corner, the Force India driver was looking to be stuck against the wall, but both going for intermediate tyres, both quick stops, and it was 2 seconds, 2.3 before the pit stops. Now Techno Thriller leads by 14, so that time on the inters when it wasn't quite right has cost Stifler a chance of the win here, perhaps. Obviously, lap 20 out of 31, anything can happen. But yeah, the final 3 coming in, and Jonas up to 9th position. Virtual safety car. So all drivers need to slow down. This is going to help Jonas, who's currently in the pits. He's going to not lose too much time. I don't even think he's going to lose a position. Ols is going to be the first driver to come past. It'll be close between these two. Ols is, of course, now I think Jonas is going to get out in front here. And that's only one position he's lost from pitting under. Oh, Ols goes past. So they're really close, they're side by side. Someone's going to have to relinquish a position, and I think it's going to be Jonas. So virtual safety car, has it come back in now? Got no message yet. It's ended. So that was a quick one.
Not quite sure what the reason for that was, but yeah, it was all over in a flash. And yeah, Jonas the only driver to gain it all from that, as he did hit under it. But yeah, still just like lost the position to Ols there.
Matt Your Daddy all over the back of Empatix. So Empatix worked his way up to 6th position, Jono. So we've kept commentating on how well he's driving, and his strategy's been pretty spot on today as well. 6th position. Techno Thriller leads, it will run through with everyone on inters. Techno Thriller leads this race. Stifler's in 2nd, Kev's in 3rd, the Bookster's in 4th, Lemaine's in 5th, Empatix is in 3rd, 7th is Matt Your Daddy, 8th is Lukey, 9th is Dweller, 10th is Ols, just outside the points 11th is Jonas. As I say, Matt Your Daddy and Empatix nose to tail coming under the grandstand. Razor is 12th, 13th is Spider, 14th is Gaza, 15th is Ali, and Green Finn is in 16th. Jamie and Maverick have binned it, Cobbler's disconnected, and Kian wasn't able to join after we started qualifying with a full grid. Jonas and Ols, Matt versus Empatix. Yellow flags.
Yeah, if Matt lights up the rear there actually on the exit of the last corner, so he's dropped back a little bit from Empatix now, but good drive from him so far. He's in 7th position there, and we've mentioned him a couple of times. He was on the soft tyres, I think it was, on the first part of the race, and he's had a solid drive, and he'll be pretty pleased with how things have gone so far, I would have thought.
Yeah, both Force Indias looking to score positively here today at Singapore. But let's have a look as who's that? Jonas goes wide at the last corner, very wide, as he's battling with Ols. Perhaps just in the dirty air, struggling a little bit there. How difficult is it, Jono? Oh, as Ols now goes wide, and Jonas sneaks down the inside into turn 3. What an opportunistic move there.
Yeah, it was. The road opened up from there with Ols a little error, but they are side by side now going into turn 5, and he gives him room. He's kind to Ols there, gives him room on the left-hand side, and that does compromise the exit as well, and so Ols regains the position. He was brave to hang it right outside there, but it worked out for him, as he's now on the inside, braking into turn 7, and he's covered it off his brake late, and he cuts back, and he regains the position, so Jonas now does finally take 10th position by the look of it.
So it looks to me like both were going, oh, Stifler's made a mistake. Stifler's binned it on, where is this? This is the final sector, the last turn 21, I believe, just before the pit entrance. He's managed to escape wing damage by the look of his front end plates, but from 2nd place, he's dropped down now to 4th position, sorry, so he's lost 2 places. Kev and Bookster now make up the podium with Techno Thriller, who's got such a healthy lead now, 16.6 seconds, and you have to wonder what would have Kian been able to do with that. Ali makes his way into the pits for another pit stop. Looks to be tricky out there, Jono. Greasy track, streets of Singapore, unforgiving. How difficult is it for these drivers going to be able to adjust to these conditions?
Yeah, it's pretty horrible. I think they will be sort of getting used to it now, finding the grip level. The rain does seem pretty consistent now, which is what you want as a driver. You just want consistent conditions, whatever they are. You want it to be consistent so you know where the limits are. You know where you can brake every lap. You know how much grip you've got through the corners. So hopefully they'll be settling into it now, but as we've seen with Stifler, it's still so easy to make a mistake as he just taps the wall there actually. So yeah, it's still super tricky for all the drivers, apart from Techno Thriller it seems, who's having a great run in front, as we have another virtual safety car.
Virtual safety car, so don't know what's that for. There was yellow flags there though in sector 3, and then they disappeared. Ali's come onto the wet tyres, so he's obviously feels that it's too wet for Inters, but you can see him sliding as Kev gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car. Oh, what an absolute heartbreak. It's yeah, second position, is he was running in his highest position I believe since Russia, where he started. Yellow flag, virtual safety car ending, so back underway. We'll have to see, because that could, if he doesn't take that, what will that equal out in terms of a time penalty? I'm not too sure. Or will they force him to come in? Perhaps it was a game error as well. We'll have to wait and see there.
I think he'll have to serve it. I don't think it was a stop-go penalty. It's actually a drive-through penalty, so I think he'll have to serve that within 3 laps. So yeah, if that's the case, I think he'll rejoin somewhere, well, I don't know, somewhere around Emphatic maybe. So either way, it'll cost him lots of time and lots of positions on track. He'll be absolutely gutted about that, but easily done. I think we've both received penalties for speeding one way or another in the past on previous F1 games. It's easily done in the heat of the moment, but yeah, it's so unfortunate for him. And yeah, possible podium position lost here by the look of it.
Yeah, definitely. He does have a 6-second lead to the Bugster, but the pit lane here is quite long, costs you a bit of time, so we'll keep an eye on what Kev has to do, what the game makes him do. But no one in DRS range at the moment. DRS of course isn't on anyway with these conditions. The weather looks to me like it's kind of staying the same at the moment, but yeah, Ali on those wet tyres, ahead of Green Finn at the moment. We'll see whether Green Finn closes in on him on his intermediates, but Oles just behind Jonas by 1.1 seconds, and Stifler, perhaps he's going to be gifted a podium position here if he can keep the mistakes out.
Sorry, I'm on board with Ali there. The wet tyres are absolutely the wrong tyre. He completely lost it sideways in the last corner there, went sideways across the pit lane. The game has ghosted him back onto track. He's persevering. I think the rain maybe looks slightly heavier now on the straight down to turn 1, but and again he's off on turn 1. There's just absolutely no grip on those wet tyres at all, and I think he'd be best just to pit and bail on that strategy and put another set of Inters on.
Yeah, we're hearing Jamie's calls that when he came into the pits, tried to come into the pits. He's caused that virtual safety car glitch where every 5 or 6 laps we're going to get a virtual safety car. We'll just keep an eye on that if that is the case. Greenfin comes in for wet tyres, so perhaps you're right, Johnny. I'm riding on board now with Stifler, and it does look look to be coming down a lot heavier.
It does. It's not time though. Looking at the cars on the wets, it's still
Kev's in for his drive-through
on the wet tyres.
Yeah, Kev's serving his drive-through now, so he'll watch his rivals go past his podium position. He'll be waving goodbye, but Jono, 24 out of 31 laps. We've still got a way to go in this race, especially in this weather. The lap times will be near the 2-minute mark. Let's look at the puddles in the pit lane as Kev exits. Perhaps we're going to see if the standing water increases, the rain comes down a bit heavier. Some last-minute pit stops here, but as you mentioned, Jono, it's Ali struggling. We'll keep an eye on Green Finn, but we just don't know if it's time. Oles is on the back of Razart, who has dropped behind the McLaren driver, so perhaps Oles has made a mistake there, or Razart's just had a bit more pace at this stage in the race.
It looks very heavy now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does look to be getting worse. The track looks soaking. All we see in the aquaplaning, they need to keep an eye on lighting the rears up as they exit the corners. Can they get the car turned into the corners?
Yeah, just looking at cars, they're really, really struggling. The pace has absolutely dropped off. And yeah, Razor and Oles both enter the pit lane. Oles back across the curb, as we mentioned, is easily done, but slows it down okay. And
Yeah,
enters
both
the
slows
pit.
it down.
Yeah,
So is the Renault,
really
Spider's
heavy.
in. So they're the first drivers to come to the pit lane. And they've, yeah, look at it, on board from some of these cars. It's absolutely pouring down as we're seeing the Force India Bookster slide it virtual safety car. So whoever's in the pit now will benefit from this. Who's going to make it in there before the virtual safety car comes in? It looks like Techno Thriller is going to be the next driver on track. But look at Razor, Spider, Ols and Gaza all come in. Surely that saved him a bit of time there, Jono.
Yeah, you would think it will. I think a fair few drivers will benefit from that. Still looks so tricky now rejoining on the full wet tyres. We know the Inters will handle most conditions in this game, but we have reached that crossover where the full wets look like they're the tyre. From my experience, they feel really, really slippy on this game, the full wets. They don't feel good to drive on. So
Techno Thriller's in.
Yeah. Oh,
Bookster's in.
Got another drive-through, or was that just the same message?
I believe. Well, I'm not too sure actually. He goes on.
It's there for speeding under virtual safety car. So
he goes on his Inters though. So Lemaine coming in as well. On. Stifler, Lemaine, Bookster, they're all coming in. Kev will go on now. Still behind, comes up behind Techno Thriller, who still leads this race. Kev now gets a 3-second time penalty. This race has gone from bad to worse for him. Empatix on Inters, choosing not to pit in fourth.
I wonder if some drivers are going to attempt to actually just hope it doesn't get any wetter, they can manage the Inters to the end and stop one time left with only 6 laps left. Some drivers may be thinking that's a possible strategy. We'll be interested to see if it plans out that way.
I just don't think it will, Jono. 24 corners, the most corners I believe on the calendar, and you're just going to lose time through. So if it was Monza, you know you're going to lose less time because less corners, more straights, less time lost. But just the grip when you try and turn in, it just isn't there on those Inters at the moment. I think Jonas is in as well. So we've got Duella, who's on my screen on Supers. That can't be correct. Matt Your Daddy on Inters, Empatic on Inters, and Kev on Inters. So we'll see. Keep an eye on this and see how the different compounds, wet weather compounds, adjust the gap. Stifler's all over the back of Empatic, so you have to say, it is not time for those Inters. Needs to come into the pit lane, get onto the full wet weather tyres, and make the most of the last 6 laps of this race.
Yeah, you can see Kev losing so much time to Techno Thriller on those Inters. It definitely is full wet weather. As Empatic, Stifler, and Lemaine all lined up there, 4th, 5th, and 6th. All the main length to the back of Stifler there. As Empatic is so slow now on those Inters.
Stifler's going to go for it.
So much time. He does, and he makes it stick there. It was just relatively easy for him. Empatic is just like driving on ice at the moment, and I think he'll have to bail and pit this lap.
Yeah, Lemaine can't get through just yet. Perhaps he's going to have to wait for Empatic to come into the pit, who hasn't made his intention clears. Empatic cuts across the pit lane. Yeah, he's coming in. So Kev comes in as well.
What's Lemaine? I think got wing damage there. On
from Stifler.
Empatic when he braked to the pit lane. Yeah,
really?
From Stifler, and then and now he's pitted for a new wing. He obviously thought the wing damage was too bad and crossed straight back across the curb and into the pit lane. So that's cost Lemaine badly there, getting caught up in Empatic there as he was entering the pit.
Jono, just to let you know, drive-through he had to serve for speeding under the safety car. So not only did he have to serve another drive-through, he couldn't actually put on the wet weather tyres. The game chose to do this drive-through instead, so he's going to have to do another lap on these unideal Inters. Matt Your Daddy up to 4th meanwhile on the Inters. He stayed out another lap. Dweller as well back up to 6th position on what we think is Inters. And perhaps they're going to try and go to the end, as you mentioned, do one less stop.
Yeah. Lukey so far back from Botti in 6th. But those 3 on Inters, 4th, 5th, 6th, Matt, Kev and Botti, they may as well ride it out because all the cars around them are on the same tyre and they've got a big gap from Lukey in 7th. So I think we might see those drivers, especially Kev already been through the pits twice, he might try and make those Inters go to the end.
Yeah, you could be right there, Jono. That's a very good point. If the cars around you are on the same tyre, then perhaps it's worth sticking it out. Lukey has taken 1.4 seconds off them so far this lap, though, and we're only halfway through. Virtual safety car again. If you're going to come into the pits, now is the time to do so. As Ali's in for another stop, so is Gaza. We'll see what they put on. We presume another set of full wets. Let's just quickly run through who's done what stop. Techno Thriller's on 3, Bookster's on 3, Stifler's on 3, Matty Daddy's had 2, Kev's have 2. Drive through for Lemaine speeding under the virtual safety car. Oh, heartbreak for championship leader. He's about to lose that championship lead if things stay as they are. Gaza's in the pits still. Stifler, of course, carries on. Matt Your Daddy, what's he going to do? Virtual safety car's out. No, it's back in now, so Matty Daddy carries on. Lukey's lost time through that virtual safety car as well, Jonah, so that time he gained that lap, he's lost it all.
It's good for the inter-drivers. Yeah, it's good for the inter-drivers, all the virtual safety cars. They drop the pace. They can actually run at that pace of the virtual safety car.
Kev's in.
So yeah, that has bought them a little bit of time.
Kev's into the pits, so
Kev's in, okay.
He finally gets those full wet tyres. He'll be thanking the Lord that he can finally get onto some tyres that he feels comfortable. Lukey's going to go past, yep, and he's going to come out ahead of Lemaine. He's going to come out in 7th position. Oh, this is going to be close though. Lemaine's got to serve a drive through anyway, of course. No, Lemaine goes through,
yeah,
but it's got to serve a drive through, so Matt Your Daddy and Dweller, the two to try and stick this out. Lap 27 out of 31. I feel sorry for the press officer going to have to summarise this race. This whole night it's been a bit of chaos with the PSN connection issues. We haven't had time to obviously say hello to everyone throughout the stream. Thank you for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and of course follow us on Twitter at F1TS Hub. If you like what you're seeing, like the racing, you can check us out, www.f1tshub.com. We do have a waiting list with quite a few drivers on at the moment, but of course we'll always try and get people seated as quickly as we can as we are on round 14 of season 10. This is the podium tier. We have the pinnacle tier coming up at 9 o'clock. Podium tier, John, of course, delayed tonight because of the issues with the PlayStation. And Kian not able to get into this race. One of our bold predictions for what was going to be a favourite. He'll be cursing that. Lukey now 12 seconds behind Dweller. He's gaining quite a bit.
Yeah, he is. He's gaining, but I think on current rate it's going to be difficult for him. He's taking several seconds a lap. He's definitely in the shot if he keeps it tidy of catching Bobby Dweller by the end. But yeah, those two now I think are almost certainly going to try and stick out on those intermediate tyres. It would be absolutely great drives by them if they can hold on to those 4th and 5th positions. Matty Daddy and Bobby Dweller there. As Emphatic, oh, he's just passing a lap car there, I believe.
So,
is that
yellow
Lemaine?
flags.
Lemaine, it's Lemaine, it's not a lap car. It's Lemaine just creeping along on the inside of the circuit. He's got wing damage, so I believe he must have made an error somewhere. And we think he's got the drive to service it as well.
Yeah, as his teammate gets another 5-second stop and go penalty. Lemaine's race again. He's been another driver that's gone from bad to worse. He's coming into the pits now. This will be to serve his drive through. They always do those first. Chucks over the curbs. He's going to speeding in the pit lane as well, just for good measure. That's frustration, that is. They're going to service him though first.
Oh, they're going to do the wing first, and then he'll have to go round and serve it and do the drive-through. Yeah, that was just a deliberate speeding in the pit lane, and he's actually retired from the session. He's had enough and called it a day. So yeah, it was all going well from early on. You were saying he was driving with his head, but he lost it there in the end. And yeah, no points. So Techno Thriller, if he can hold on to this, he will lead the championship after this round, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. Techno Thriller will lead by some margin as well. Bookster will jump, he's in 2nd place, so he'll jump some points ahead. Stifler back on the podium. Matt Your Daddy is one of his best results. I think that will be his best result, actually, if he finishes there. Long way to go, though. You have to say he's more safe than Dweller, perhaps, with 3 laps remaining in this session. Look at the battle for 9th position. We've got Jonas, Razor, Spider, and Oz all within close proximity. So this will be interesting to see how these guys get on in these final closing stages of this race. But Jono, it's been an absolute entertaining one for us commentating for sure.
Yeah, it's been non-stop. Kemp picked up another time penalty there for corner cuts. But yeah, it's been an absolute action-packed race all the way through. The weather has spiced things up hugely. And just looking at the level of spray, if you're following cars, looking at Spider and Oles there, the spray makes it so difficult to pick a braking point. So I think overtaking is extremely, extremely difficult now on these wets in these conditions.
Yeah, definitely. This will be interesting to see who's able to come out on top. Not a lot of points up for grabs, but 1 and 2, the McLaren's holding them as they go at the moment. Spider Atlas all over the back. Oles is there just for good measure. Is that someone else come to join the party? No, Gaz is further back. That is Oles, who I saw at the corner of the screen. The gap is closing. Lukey is now 3.6 behind. So you have to say, yeah, Dweller's under threat from him, but Matt Your Daddy looks to be safe with a further 10-second advantage over Dweller.
Yeah, Spider gets a good exit compared Razor out of the final corner, but he pulls out a slipstream and goes nowhere. Will he send it on the brakes anyway into turn 1? No, he thinks better of it in these conditions. It's so easy to lock up and run into the car ahead, so he maintains position. He'll try and get a good exit from here now as he's actually pushing Razor along. It'll all be about the exit from turn 5 here and trying to get the job done. As he runs out wide over that bit of curb, he gets understeer. You can see the understeer in the car, and it made him late on the throttle, and Razor should survive here for another lap, I think. That understeer there, that anxiousness to get on the throttle and as early as he could, it backfired, the car just pushed on, and yeah, he stays behind, and Razor will be determined now with 2 laps to go to hold on to that last point position.
Yeah, lap 30 out of 31. Technothrill leads this race. He's joined on the podium by the Boogster and Stifler. Matty Daddy's having a cracking race in 4th. Dweller is in 5th position. Both of those two, 4th and 5th on the Inters. He's got yellow flags in Sector 1. Lukey's closing in 1.7 now behind in 6th position. Kev's had a nightmare second half of the race. We'll find a third of the race actually in 7th. Emphatic's done a great job in 8th. Jonas is in 9th, starting on the softs after his quali ban. Razor's 10th. This is the battle. Spider Atlas and Knowles chasing him down. Gaz is in 13th. Lemaine's retired. Ali and Greenfin are in 15th and 16th. Jamie Maverick also joined Lemaine as the retirees. Yellow flags in Sector 2. Lukey's made a mistake because he's now... Oh no, it's gone back to 1.1. So it did appear to go to 4 on my screen, but here it comes. We're about to see this this pass, perhaps.
Yeah, you'd assume by the way he's been gaining that it will be relatively easy. He should have a big traction advantage at the slow corners. It might be difficult for Boffy Dweller to defend, as already Lukey gets a much better drive forward. He gets squeezed a little bit there, but he's given just enough room. This is what we said we don't like, going side by side for this high-speed corner. They give each other just enough room, as Lukey slightly loses the end of the car there, then misjudges his braking point, or Boffy braked early, I can't tell which. He now gets the switch back and picks the braking point, and it looks like he has got the job done. He moves to the apex of the corner, and Lukey does move up into 5th, but a bit of contact there, that was a little bit messy, and a bit of wing damage I think on the left hand side of Lukey's car from that incident as well.
Yeah, I think you're correct, John, a little bit of wing damage. I was talking about going side by side there on the straight, let alone in these conditions. That must have been nerve-wracking for those two, but a good day for Ferrari. They've had some bad days. They seem to, whenever one retires, they both retire. But today, one's having a good result and so's the other. So 4th and 5th position for the Ferraris with 1 lap to go. We're on our final lap. Techno Thriller has started his final lap of the race. He's coming to the end of Sector 1. And how do you describe his performance today other than sublime, phenomenal?
Yeah, it's been absolutely dominant, hasn't it? I mean, he was 14 seconds ahead, I think, once he exited the pit lane. We said that was a big gap. It's now up to 22, so he's just commanded the race from the get-go. He seemed to get the strategy right from the switch to the Inters. And yeah, it's just been an absolutely brilliant drive from him. And if he can hang on for this in that last half a lap, it'll be a well-deserved and dominant victory. Yeah, we've got Spider still trying to get past Razor. Do you know what? Razor gets a bad exit there, a bit of oversteer. Is this going to give a chance for Spider Atlas? We're right on board with him. The spray's horrible. Is he going to sling it down the inside? No, thinks better of it. Doesn't have the confidence on the brakes. Gets a good run, but can't do anything with it. Oles is there just to keep an eye on things. We're going to switch over as Techno Thriller is in the final sector. He's just coming towards the last few corners. Looks like a lap car ahead of him. He's going to be smiling, bit between his teeth. Absolute, as we mentioned, phenomenal performance today. Took pole position in strange circumstances, to say the least. What's happened here? Kev
and Dweller are going side by side. So Kev's got the position and Dweller's really struggling now on those intermediate tyres, and Kev's got the job done before they get to the end of the straight. Techno Thriller, it comes across the line and he wins in Singapore. Round 14, we have Techno Thriller taking a championship lead away to round 15. Bookster's going to join him on the podium, still got a little way to go. As we mentioned, Jono, he had quite a big gap, and we'll follow these guys through as they come across the line. The Bookster's weaving already, be careful Bookster, look at the fireworks, phenomenal stuff from Singapore, always make a great ending. Bookster crosses the line in second position. Stifler's now under the grandstand. He's returned from a skiing holiday and looking quite refreshed, you have to say. He's going to take third position, so good podium for the Renault driver and the Renault team, of course, Jono. And I'll let you ride on board with the rest of the drivers as they cross the line and complete this race.
Yeah, absolutely. As Matty Daddy, we're obviously waiting to cross the line now. If he can bring it through these last few corners, that'll be an absolutely fantastic result and a great drive, you have to say, to stay on these intermediate tyres in these treacherous conditions. And we've seen other drivers fail in on the full wet tyre. So it'll be an absolutely well-deserved fourth place. As you can see him drifting it around there, but he's driven brilliantly through the final corner now. Just need to be careful on the throttle. Don't do any heroics here. Just bring it home. And absolutely fantastic fourth place from him, as Lukey also great drive from him as well in fifth. And then Kev next up after his couple of drive-throughs. It's a race of what could have been really for him. He's brought it home, but yeah, those virtual safety cars, that really hurt his race, and he'll be absolutely ruined not taking it a little bit more easy there. As Botti Dweller across the line there as well in 8th place. And then next up will be Jonas in the McLaren. So we've got McLaren 9th and 10th at the moment, as Razor has managed to hold off Stifler as well, who's dropped back a little bit now, and I think has enough of that battle now. He's going to settle for his for the 11th place. So yeah, Jonas across the line, and Razor now through the final corner, and yeah, he'll be pleased to pick up 10th. Wasn't an ideal strategy for him, but he drove a solid race otherwise, defended well there when he needed to, and picks up the final points paying position, with Spider following him in 11th.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Fantastic race at Singapore. Singapore always provides the classic. Gave a little bit of a strange qualifying session, but the drivers made the most of it, and we have a podium with 3 different constructors. We have Force India and the Salva, so congratulations to those 3. They're going to get a taste of champagne on this Friday night. Our last race in January for these boys. They'll be back next week to take on Malaysia, I believe. But first, Jono, we've got the Pinnacles here, the quickest guys and girl about to take to these streets, and perhaps we can have a more normal qualifying session, but I wouldn't want anything less of an exciting race, that's for sure.
Yeah, let's hope we have more of the same. I'm sure you will do. And if any of them have been watching the stream, I'm sure they'll be pretty scared about setting foot on the track right now after seeing just how treacherous and difficult this race can be. But yeah, they'll be up next in 15 minutes time. So yeah, looking forward to catching up on that one.
Yeah, so Techno Thriller wins this race, started on pole position, absolutely dominated, no penalties. Bookster takes seconds, no penalties. Stifler takes third, no penalties. Top 3, no penalties. Then you've got Matty Daddy in 4th, his teammate Lukey in 5th. Good day for Ferrari. Emphatic solid drive in 6th. Kev drops down to 7th after a penalty. 8th position, that'll be Dweller. 9th is Jonas, 10th is Razor, 11th outside the points is Spider. Oz is in 12th. 13th is Gaza, 14th is Ali, enormous amount of penalties there. He's still struggling with those pit lane entries and exits. Greenfin takes 15th. The other Mercedes of Lemaine retired in 16th. Jamie retired in 17th. Maverick retired in 18th. And the Toro Rosso of Cobblers was disqualified. He disconnected. So bad day for him. And obviously Kian, who started this session in the qualifying, wasn't able to partake in it at all. But there you have it, guys. That is round 14 in Singapore. This is the Podium tier live every week at 7 PM. We'll shortly be joining you with the Pinnacle tier, which starts at 9 PM. So not much of a gap for today, but it's going to be exciting. And Jono, thanks for joining us. It's been fantastic to have you here in the commentary box. It's been a fantastic race, and well done to all the drivers who finished in the points. And I'll see you next week.